Welcome back everybody to another week of action here in Pokémon UNITE Asia Champions League 2023 for the India region. Another weekend, but it's going to be a very tough one. Back on the desk is going to be me, Lucifer, along with me joining Mridul. How are you feeling for another week?
Well, thank you so much for the warm welcome, Lucifer, as we begin with the week number 4. Last week, we saw some amazing amount of domination from the side of Marcos Gaming and True Rippers, and I'm really excited for the week today.
I too am, because we are going to be looking forward to how the entire league table will kind of start forming. We have a good idea. Finally, we are seeing proper divisions of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Also, eventually, as we have 2 more weeks of action. But in case you're wondering what's happening in the entire tournament, the next stages, which we will give a walkthrough. But quickly, if you want to jump up and check out the link and all the details and information's coming through, please click on the link. You'll get an idea about it. But now jumping into this week's action that we have. 2 brilliant matches coming 3. Again, 2 best of 3s, which is going to be where we are going to be looking forward to. Are they going to be clean sweep or not? But before them, quickly talking about all the brilliant 15 teams that have qualified for the Asia Champions League from 3 different regions.
Yeah. Well, we have the qualified teams from the East Asia. We have Eternity, High Five, No Show, Secret Ship, and T2. From Southeast Asia, we have Escape 5, MBS, Renaissance, Rise, and Secret Rare. And the teams from India region are going to be God's Reign, Marcos Gaming, Revenant Esports, SHUL, and Team True Rippers.
Interesting of how these teams are panning up, but right now 15 teams to be trickled down to 6, meaning 9 teams will be eliminated, whether this is 1 region or 3 regions. For every team, it is a matter of a fact that it will be pride for them to represent their nation, their region. It's going to be a tough one, but right now we have the schedule.
Well, to talk about the whole schedule right now, yes, for the first stage, we have some amazing dates placed out for the India region. The first week was 8th of January, then 15th, then 22nd, and today that we are seeing is going to be 29th of January. So the matches for today are going to be SHUL and True Rippers, whereas we have Revenant Esports going against Marcos Gaming. The last but not the least would be 5th of February. Well, that will be next week. And for the second stage, we'll also have the teams seeded from the first stage. The finals are going to be held in March.
It's going to be an interesting format as we see in front of the screens of how these teams are playing. League stage, everybody is in. Second stage, which is going to be playoffs, everybody is there, but that is the elimination stage, from where in this regular season only 2 teams will get a chance and move to the finals, which will be an offline one. Teams will be fighting out in land. We just quickly saw a glimpse before we came to the caster desk as well. That is where the teams will be fighting on. That is the arena, the battle arena, where our trainers are going to be getting themselves out, gearing up with their Pokeballs as well as Pokemons to summon them and immediately make sure that they get the chance for what? The prize. Here in the second stage, it is going to be $5,000 for the team coming up in the first position in their region. Second, $2,500. My bad, not $25,000. $1,000 for the team in the third position. For the team which will get something before going out of the tournament, but the team coming in the finals, right? The 6 teams, 5 positions have a chance of getting a couple of spoils.
Well, yes, exactly. For list down the price for that, $30,000 for the first position, and then everything getting continued. Now talking about the tournament rules. General rules are going to be that a match time is going to be 10 minutes. Best of 3 it is going to be, and it will be between 5v5. The stadium, the arena will be Tia Sky Ruins. And when you talk about the items, there's going to be no limit on using the items and no level limits too. The Pokemons, no restrictions, but the only Pokemon that are going to be available in the draft mode, that means the banned ones aren't going to be used. And when you talk about the Pokemon support medal, no limit on that and no rarity limit as it seems.
Yeah, right now in terms of availability, or in terms of, you would say, the max of anything, whether it's items, the Pokemon, or whatever, it is going to be no restriction. So teams know what they can do. The presets also can be there of how they are going to be using the items in the hand potions. It's going to be super
Correct.
crucial. But right now, as we see the draft mode, initial picks, bans, all of them in front of your screens. But preparation phase is something that we are not seeing throughout the weeks that we have seen, that they don't
Correct.
exchange a lot of Pokemons. Here and there in one or another game they do, but mostly players pick the Pokemons that they want right at the gate. But the teams
Right.
getting the advantage to pick the first Pokemon kind of deny the other team to make a different move or different strategy. We've just spoke like in the previous weeks, right? In interviews, players did mention. Right, if we let go of a Pokemon, which we know obviously the opponent team is going to pick, then it's going to be our loss. So deny that Pokemon for them. Let's make a choice as it's ours, and we'll take it around. And I think that's what we'll be looking forward to, of how the draft mode will work in the actual game for today, this week as well, week number 4. I'm super excited, brother.
Yeah, well, in the last week, we saw some, last moment changes coming up according to what the opponent has opted for. So, even if a player or a trainer is more comfortable with a speedster or a ranged attacker, we have seen them changing their strategy. We have seen that even a supporter sometimes becomes a speedster, and that's what we saw. A Dodo coming up for Volk, right? So,
Yeah.
different amount, modern problems require modern solutions. Well, just like that, the situations always require the answers according to what the situation is. Well, now it's the time that we take a look of the previous week's highlights, and we'll be right back. And after that, the team goes on with that. Now they just need to buy the time. Slowbro would actually be able to take down one of the Pokemon as Ninetales sent back to the base, but look at the lead that they have got. Revenant did it. They knew what they had.
They're not stopping in any direction. Again, you can see with the shots coming through. Walk, a risky move coming through. He even used his Unite to run away from the Pokemons, and he will be able to run away barely. But in the meantime, I'm not sure how the players are able to keep this pressure up, because after seeing that highlights of the previous week, I'm sweating, and I've said that the previous time as well. It's getting tougher and tougher. Matches might seem like it's just best of 3, a couple of clean sweeps coming through, but in the game itself, you've seen how much of back and forth it has gone, how close the matches have been. So
Correct.
I'm excited for what this week is going to be bringing in, because as I mentioned, right now we have seen distinguishes between first, second and third in the league table. Let's jump into the league table and talk about it to give you more idea about it. True Rippers are the ones leading the charge right now with 7 points in total after winning in the previous week and standing in the first spot. Revenant did try. It was against them itself, but they lost. Talking about SATL, they did not have a match previously. They do have one this week. Marcos on the other end, they're looking better and better, and finally distinguished themselves from second position that 3 teams were in, and put themselves alone in the second position and push Revenant and SATL to the third. But Mridul, here's one thing that we all are looking forward to is God's Reign come back, because they've lost 3 matches and left with 1.
Well, it is going to be the only game that they're left with. Not to be played today, but in the next week. I'm really excited for God's Reign, how they are going to be performing in their last game against Revenant Esports. Also, one of the last chances for True Rippers today, that the last game that they'll be playing in this week. But if you talk about Revenant or even Team SATUL, even Team Marcos Gaming, they're left with 2 games each. Well, let's see what happens after the day has ended, after this week has ended. Because again, when you talk about the positioning, True Rippers and Marcos Gaming are already leading with the upcharge. God's Reign, only 1 game left. Can they actually be placed at the 4th seed? The fate is what they have for the other teams.
Yeah, it's something that every team needs to look forward to. But as we are moving into the next stage, as you mentioned, True Rippers are highly likely getting the first seed, followed by Marcos looking at their performance. But as we did talk up to Marcos as well previously, they did mention, right, they also want to look forward to getting to the first seed, which means they
Correct.
qualify into the finals. They don't have to fight again for the positioning, whether they'll be for the first seed, the top seed of the region, or they're going to be getting the second seed. Therefore, it's going to be interesting to watch out. But on the other end, looking at where we see the fifth seed, God's Reign do need to do a lot of heavy lifting. Not only heavy lifting here, Mridul, they also have to have a couple of prayers that they have to do before getting into the game, that the other teams kind of lose. I know it's something that you don't want, but certain times you would have to do this in case you want to change your seed from the 5th to the 4th. But right now, that's not the match on hand. It's going to be True Rippers versus SATL. True Rippers playing their last match today, and SATL playing their third. True Rippers, do they want to finish it off in a brilliant fashion with 10 points, or SATL going to block them, is what we are going to see today.
Well, yes, exactly. To talk about the player lineups of True Rippers and SATL, you have Daksh, Devesh, Saif, Keo, and Ego from True Rippers, whereas SATL have Cursed, Ghoul, Tensei, Might, and Prod. So again, it is going to be a great lineup from their side. And when you actually talk about SATL, yes, a lot is at stake, because both of them have the same number of points where they really want to actually gather some more points on the board, to be able to, place themselves on a better seed and lesser down their matches and move one step above the elimination point.
But right now, before we see if there is any early discrepancies in the position, it's going to be player trivia, which we love. Ego, confident, does say a lot about him in any matches that he takes, and his ego and confidence, the name kind of somehow works out really well. He has that positive and confident ego in himself and wishes to travel to Canada. I think this is a second time we are seeing trivia coming in from Ego. Interesting.
Yeah.
And also his favorite Pokemons, Revenant and Lucario. So Ego, I think very soon, not Canada at least, but this is something that I did discuss. Yes, I remember now when I came to the Canada part, is that when we talked about this, if he does not get to go to Canada right now, he'll at least go to Malaysia, right? And then from there we get the prize pool, and then maybe spend a vacation in Canada. But before we talk a lot more about that, it's Prod right now with that player trivia. He likes coffee before matches and believes in comebacks, and SATL are a team of comebacks.
Well, yes, exactly. We have seen how SATL have made a lot of comebacks possible up until now in the competitive nature of Pokemon UNITE. But when you talk about coffee before matches, yes, a sip of caffeine before each and every match gets you the energy. And definitely, me being the coffee person, I'm very much interested in how Prod, having coffee before every single match, will be able to perform in the upcoming matches.
I mean, I'm not too sure if he's a coffee connoisseur or just loves coffee in general, because it's going to be interesting, like different places, the coffee beans, like crushing it. And I'm not the guy, I've not done that, but I just know about it, so I'm a little bit kind of interested of how it kind of goes out. But right now, the main interesting part is going to be the match itself between True Rippers and SATL, because SATL, the previous match that I had, I'm just quickly checking, they won. But the first match that they had, they did take a loss, which kind of gave them a chance to kind of understand what went wrong and immediately get back in the second week. Now in the fourth week that they've already had, Brudul, a chance to kind of watch the teams, because in the third week they did not play. So this fourth week is going to be super crucial for them.
Well, yes, exactly. And when you actually talk about both of these teams have shown what they have in them. And talking about True Rippers performing so brilliant against Revenant Esports, the performance was at the top most when they actually went against them. And True Rippers have had that, performance from the past in this Asia Champions League, and they have been consistent with it. So again, the momentum that they have from each and every week, they really want to continue with it. Right now, focusing more on the games. Can they actually finish this one also as a 2-0, or either it's going till the very last game?
Let's jump into the draft phase itself and take a look at the bans, picks, as well as the preparation that both these teams do. True Rippers what are their bans today. SHL, if they watched their match in the last week, it's going to be super crucial to deny them speedster, to deny them defenders, to deny them ranged attackers. I'm not too sure what they'll be planning, because Devesh is also there, there's Ego also. If you think both of these are not there, there's Kyo, and then it is Daksh as well that we have seen. So super crucial right now in terms of the ban phase. I want to see what bans are going to be coming in, and as we mentioned, this time they're keeping a watch on Devesh, denying the Mew coming in from his end. So there'll be a different pick that they'll be doing, and it's going to be a Sizer ban, meaning that Scyther and Sizer both are being banned. SHL will have to look forward to other alternatives, but as we did here, Urshifu, if that is available, quickly pick it up, because if the other team gets a chance, it's going to be tough. And SHG will also make a similar call that there is the Dodrio available, so immediately pick it up. Do not give them a chance to get the speedster as well. And Prod, he immediately jumps on another choice that he has to pick up the Snorlax in this draft pick phase, and he's like, okay, let's deny the Snorlax. Now they have to quickly sweep into either the Mamoswine, or they have to look forward to the Snorlax, or maybe even another defender that they are looking forward to if it works out for them. But for now, Daksh, okay, it's not Daksh, it's going to be safe, and he's going to be jumping on Eldegoss, denying that to SHL.
Well, yes, exactly, and jumping on to Eldegoss is also going to be a perfect choice for Sev, as we have seen some brilliant plays coming up from his side. But oh, we do have some changes coming up. Devesh goes in for a Ninetales, whereas we do have some more picks coming up. Tencent goes in for a Blissey.
Cool. On the other end, he is going for the Delphox, and we see the Dragapult coming back into action on Kios, and Daksh, as we did mention, Mamoswine is something that he should be looking forward to, and he picks it up. He's one hell of a Mamoswine player. He causes ruckus in the battle arena, which is going to be troublesome for SHL. But not like Prod is not going to do that. His block and as well as his rest, or maybe even the power nap whenever he uses the Unite, is going to be super crucial, where Cursed is able to convert. Right now, working in tandem for Cursed as a Dodrio, I'm not seeing any Pokemon that will gel up really well, as we saw in the previous week. But for now, let's see how Ghoul works out. But in the meantime, he's not playing in Azumarill this time, but he's going to be going on the Machamp with his Karate Chops coming in.
Well, now we have Prod actually going in for the Blissey, and Tencent is there as the Snorlax. So a switch happening right now, and I'm quite excited about a Dragapult plus a Urshifu combo, how it is going to work out in the arena, because we have seen, the Mamoswine from Daksh. We have seen how Eldegoss is so brilliant with Seth, they being the perfect trainers of these Pokemons. But Urshifu, Ego, and Dragapult is going to be killed. Ready? And we begin with the first game, the match between True Rippers and etc.
To see who's going to be the mid laners right now, it should be the Dragapult on True Rippers, and on the other end, we generally should be seeing, I think, Delphox, but it's like Dodrio. Again, this is a debatable, I would say, talk, depending on how you want to strategize. Therefore, sometimes ranged attacker goes in mid lane, sometimes it is going to be your speedster. But right now, as we are seeing, Might right now gets quick scores in, because he needs to evolve, and the same goes for the tiny Urshifu right now in Kufu form. But Ego, I think he might be knocked out. The Daksh saves. He might be a small snub, but the level is similar, so therefore Daksh is causing trouble, making sure there is no knockouts in these early stages. True Rippers keeping their ground, even SHL. But one thing that True Rippers need to pay attention to, SHL play a very slow game, and they concentrate on the score that they deliver. So they will play this long game until, I would say, 4-5 minutes of this first game, and then immediately start swooping in for goals, as many as possible, destroying goal zones, and we'll take a look at it when it happens. But for now, it's a bottom lane quick tussle that we see, and after we're in the top lane as well, a tussle coming forth, and all of this just for the wild Pokemons, not to knock out each other.
Well, to talk about the brilliant performance coming on the side of top lane, there's quite amount of disturbance happening there. We see that Snorlax is already present and is quite upfront and would be adding 12 points to the top lane post. Yes, 12 more air synergy added. SHL right now leading on the scoreline, whereas the farming constantly being done. SHL won't require much of evolution, but they would definitely require the level to have the abilities be available with them. And definitely the Unite moves would work a lot. The amount of, tackle damage that they have right now, SATUL is working great with it.
Yeah, this is what I said. SATL play a slow game, and once they start jumping in, it's going to be tough for True Rippers to control, and that's what is happening. Look at that 6-6 that both the teams had. After that, it's just SATL now in control. Quickly switch from mid lane to the top lane and destroy the goal zone even. Right now, True Rippers are trying to gain some advantage, and Prod is just denying them with the Blissey, understanding that he's able to take up a lot more damage. Ghoul coming in with his flame. Tries as long as he could, but the Rodrio swoops in, so there's only a couple. Oh wait, actually they did not get anything scored, and another knockout. Make it a 2 KO streak here. What a play coming in from Curse. They went to the top lane. Once they destroyed it, quickly switched lanes, went to the bottom, and make sure that True Rippers have control in no direction. And looking at this performance compared to the previous week, True Ripper are sure up for trouble right now.
Well, yes, exactly. And look at Team SATUL performing amazingly well against Team True Rippers. And we see that throughout this time period, they are also covering up on the Regis. Yes, gaining another Reggie Rock in their half and getting the control over Regis. They're also able to get the knockouts. The Machamp also will be able to add a lot of damage to the team. And as I say, it is there on the arena where we talk about Daksh and KO. Daksh still as a pillar swine wants to be Mama Swine as soon as possible. Well, just one level remaining, more points added, but SATUL is on a roll right now. Takes down Urshifu, and Machamp is unstoppable.
Machamp is unstoppable. This is what we said. The slow game is working out really well from SATUL.
Yeah.
And True Rippers, they're able to find an opening. Now, they are trying to see, you can see, range attacker is the one which is going to be a little bit squishy. They want to find a way to knock out that Pokemon, but it is not happening at all. Ghoul is able to move away from them and still do damage. And whenever Ghoul, we did talk about this combo, right? Coming in, Ghoul as well as Curse. It's working out. The Speedster and Ranged Attacker doing hefty damage. Therefore, True Rippers unable to find a way to control things. And look at this. They're trying to fight the defender. He's just putting a block, denying and buying time for his teammates, and his teammates are here. Everybody's jumping in, and there's going to be another goal zone being quickly destroyed. 277 is what SATUL are at, and we are down to 5 minutes of the game. And True Rippers, they are the ones facing difficulty. They are looking like they're under the weather right now. Just 77, 200 difference is what they have to catch up to.
Well, yes, exactly. And right now, focusing more on the amount of performance that they have, Team SATUL is actually working great. Look at that. The score line that they have, 277 to just 77 from True Rippers. And the amount of dominance that they have shown until now in the bottom lane, they actually need to buckle up with it, because look at the top lane, it's already over. Team SATUL have been victorious over it, and Ninetales now coming from the side of True Rippers. Knockouts coming back to back. The Pokemons are fainting and being sent back to the base. They need to be back as soon as possible. Chaos incoming. Dodio would be taking down
True Rippers, this is their chance. You can see they are able to push back the players of SATUL, but still SATUL have knockouts. They've sent a couple of players back to the bases of True Rippers, so they're trying to hold it off. On the other end, SATUL, the players who were knocked out, they're back. And now they're causing trouble to Ego. Ego was in a situation of a 4v1. Immediately gets knocked out. Now Daksh, he's not even a full-fledged evolved Mamoswine. He's at level 8. The level difference itself is causing trouble. True Rippers are unable to hold it. Unite comes out the fireworks. Another knockout, and it's just True Rippers trying to hold this goal zone. One goal zone at least. Trying to defend it as much as possible. Still not working.
Yes, with that we have, True Rippers trying each and every strategy that they can to actually work out against SATUL. But I think at this moment, it is going to be the Rayquaza that is going to add a lot for the team. Snorlax with the damage destruction once again coming back to the arena, and Snorlax means how the amount of damage it can deal. Yes, it has a lot of capability to be done with that, and now focusing back to the top lane, they actually need to safeguard their positions too. Okay, the Regilik is present out there.
Oh no.
Two Rippers are up for it, but no. Ego not allowed. Urshifu, some last minute damage I expect, but no. Machamp just going in, and Urshifu has fainted.
True Rippers, if you're able to break them down, they just get scattered. And that's what is happening. They're getting separated one after another. You saw Urshifu. He was alone. Nobody to help. Kyo was there before him, but Kyo was super low. Now Might, understanding there's an FT attack coming in, he immediately backs off and lets his other players, other Pokemons who are able to deal similar kind of damage, take the battle head on. And from there, the only thing that they're trying to deny is letting True Rippers come closer to this Regieleki. That's only the deny that is happening. Another 20 seconds to go, but before that, True Rippers will be denied completely of this Regieleki. SATUL making another ally, and then there's just 14-13 seconds to go. Unite available for the entire team of SATUL, whereas on the True Rippers end, Urshifu is looking forward to gaining that experience, completely getting that Unite ready, but in the meantime sneakily already getting to their goal zone edge and looking forward to taking this advantage. If Regieleki is able to go and sit on their base, it's going to be trouble, and as soon as Kyo sees this trouble, he's trying to run away with the Dragon Dance coming through with Devesh and safe swoop in. Therefore, this is not going to be working out. An immediate knockout being delivered, but making use of the Dodrio, there is still a goal being scored. But what do SATUL, other 4 players who are alive? They're immediately jumping in, trying to melt this Rayquaza, and before True Rippers could get closer to this, it's gone.
Yeah, the Rayquaza actually goes down within a matter of seconds, and look at that, Lucifer. Now there's no one to actually stop SATUL from winning the very first game against Team True Rippers.
Yeah.
Well, yes, they are going for it, and looking at the scoreline, that is still moving upon 587 points. They have now on towards 600. Yes, they would be achieving the 600 mark. A KO comes in, but never to stop. They are still moving with the battle. Okay, Team True Rippers coming in. Can they actually reach 300 and have the half against SATUL? They still have 45 seconds, and wonders can always happen.
I don't think the wonders will happen here, Mridul, because they do not have the Eos energy. Otherwise, I would count it in. Now, for them to get that Eos energy, they have to keep knocking out the players of SATUL, the Pokemons, fainting them, sending them back, and grab a couple or some Eos energy with their drop and then immediately score it. Look at that, they're sitting at 320, and also looking at the entire top lane, it is completely available. So therefore, making sure that SATUL are not going to be giving or losing this victory that they've already gotten for themselves. There is no way, as you can see, knockouts one after another being and sent back. All the Pokemons from True Rippers have fainted. And what is SATUL doing? Understanding there's less than 3 seconds, let's get another score in, and they'll be pushing up their top limit to close off a 700. SATUL get the first game.
Well, yes, exactly. And right now, talking about the high damage dealing combo of SATUL, that is Machamp and Dodrio. That was, that was the only duo that could have done the job for them. Look at the amount of points that they have added. 297 from this Dodrio. 297 points added, 297 Eos energy added. A lot of work done by Cursed itself. To add on it, SATUL Ghoul with 130, Tencent with 34, Prod with 72, and then Might with 78. 87 MVP points are available for SATUL's Cursed. Also, to talk about Ego's performance, yes, Urshifu tried its level best to add what it could to the team. Did the work, but in the end, SATUL getting the Rayquaza just shut it down the whole game.
I think it was kind of a good move from SATUL, understanding that their Regieleki is, as an ally, is pushing to their base. Let's cause some trouble, let's cause some distraction, and once that happened, you saw True Rippers were just moving closer to the legendary pit towards Rayquaza, and just because of those 2 players, I think Might and Tensai, or Might or Prod, these 2 players, Might and Cursed were there. They caused that distraction where all the players of True Rippers got back closer to their base just to knock out the players from SATUL who had reached there. In the meantime, other players from SATUL just jumped on Rayquaza without even giving True Rippers a chance to blink or get closer, and the play was just brilliant. It was unstoppable. Whether you talk about punches, whether you talk about chops coming through, Prod playing really well. You see, from the get-go, right? 0 to 2 minutes, we generally talk about it is like a inclination point or a threshold where you change the pace to the next 2 to 8 minutes of the game. But from 2 to 8 minutes of the game, it was just SATL in control, and when it was 8 minutes, they just turned things around without giving True Rippers even a chance or I would say situation to gasp a breath.
Yeah, it was already done. Look at the performance from the side of True Rippers.
They tried.
Yes, in the middle of the game, they were still, wanting to approach Team SATL, but they were really far from their position. To cover that difference, they were so gathered in it that they did late evolutions, they could not get those Reggies. Yeah. And while you actually talk about Team SATL, the performance from 2 to 6 minutes was exceptional. Then there was a pause. There was a pause for 2 minutes. No points added by them. It could have been a time where True Rippers could have actually, done the work and come back. But in the last 2 minutes, getting the Rayquaza, there was nothing left to make a comeback of.
Yeah, it was a little bit far too gone. But I think Daksh this time, as we keep talking about how crucial the defender is, generally is used as an initiator as well in the battles that they take upon. Here Daksh was not able to do that because he was a lower level. He was trying to be there, he was trying to put out his icicle spear, but still it did not work out because lower. And even though he put it down, maybe slowed the Pokemons down, they were immediately trying to jump on him where he had to go back. On the other end, how Ghoul and Curse played together. We did talk about this combo attack coming through. If this works out, a ranged attacker as well as a speedster, it's going to be undeniable damage that a team needs to face, and that's what happened to True Rippers. True Rippers, they were able to push and break all the goal zones on the bottom lane, but the top lane, it was as healthy as that you can talk about. It was there until the last as well, and it was not at all destroyed, so it caused trouble. On the other end, if you see from True Rippers end, they lost almost all their goal zones. The only two were one in the base, which is undestructible, and the second one in the bottom. Those were the only two. And for True Ripper, for SATL, that did not matter because they already had a lead. They did even take Rayquaza, so for them it was only trying to deny and defend. So game 1 right now, Mridul, is going to be none other than SATL, so it's going to be a little bit of an upset for True Rippers from the previous week.
Well, yes, exactly. And right now, focusing more on SATL. A job already done. They now actually need to finish in the second game because again, True Rippers are still having those victories, and we have seen the games that they have played. Even against Marcos Gaming, they lost, but they had one game. So even a single point matters when you are actually talking about getting that seed. And we have seen you lose games, but when you have a seed point coming up, that would be helping you a lot. For now, Team SATL have already done their job in the match 1, where it was exceptional in the last 2 minutes, getting that Rayquaza, as we saw from True Rippers themselves. Well, let's see what happens at the next game.
Now, in this game, if there is a chance that SATL close it, as you mentioned, the whole league table opens up, Mridul. Because if True Rippers get this victory, they'll be getting 3 points, which will put their score to 10, which is going to be unreachable. But if they lose here, their score will be stuck at 7. Or even if they get one game, but they lose in the third game, it'll be just 1 point that they'll be getting. So let's see if True Rippers are able to make a comeback or SATL are going to seal the deal. Jumping into the second game of match 1 for week 4. As we see, it's going to be the draft pick and bans coming through. What do you presume, Ridul, to be the bans?
Well, right now, talking about the bans, I would definitely want a Snorlax ban, and then either of the teams going for a Urshifu ban. But I do have a Scyther too, because Scyther and Urshifu being there in the meta, if a team gets denied of that, I want to see what their measures would be. And as I say, yes, there would be some bans coming in, while there is going to be a new ban coming in from SATL, might get Scyther.
Yeah, as you mentioned, if there is a Urshifu ban, they'll immediately look forward to the Scyther or the Scyther coming in, and that's what Might picks up. And immediately understanding that True Rippers, they have a couple of cards that they need to play. They pick up the Eldegoss as well as the Snorlax. And what do SATL do? They're like, okay, again that Speedster is available. Nobody's banned the Dodri or Curse. Immediately picks it up. And Prod, I think he's going to be going in for Blissey. But for now, it's going to be Ghoul who will be picking up the Ninetales. Again, ranged attacker is going to be super crucial. With Ninetales coming in, you're going to be able to slow the opposition, and I think that's what the thought is. And Kyo, he's again looking forward to getting the Dragapult online for True Rippers. It did not find great impact. Let's see if True Rippers are able to adapt in the second game.
Well, yes, exactly. And Dragapult coming in from the side of Kyo. Let's see how he is able to, main himself as a trainer with this Pokemon. But again, when you actually talk about Ego, I am also going to be keen of what Ego has for himself. Okay, so Ego is somewhat having his eyes on Tyranitar, and yes, the Tyranitar has been chosen. Talk about Tensai, we have a Mr. Mime coming after a long time, I must say.
I really like this interesting choice coming in from SAQL for two supporters, because these two supporters, one is going to be, yes, of course, healing, but on the other end, Tensai is a brilliant mime. And what will he do? He's going to boost the attacks of these other Pokemons or comrades, or if he is unable to do that, he's going to be making sure he'll weaken the opposition, their attacks or their speed gets slowed down, which immediately has a capitalization coming in from Cursed or Ghoul. Ghoul played previously, brilliant Delphox and tagged with the Cursed whenever needed, double the damage, therefore knockouts being delivered. This time how do they combo it is going to be crucial, but True Rippers, they are looking forward to getting back into the game. Now they do have a supporter, as we did talk about it, along with the defender Snorlax, and Snorlax is super crucial. Let's see how they make it work. Previously Mammothman did not work, now they have the availability of Snorlax and Daksh.
And beginning with the battle right now, we see that somewhat the Pokemons are still busy in the, goal point apart, and True Rippers would actually be able to add the very first 6 Chaos Energies. Added the same, and now we see that the Lucario is going with the power. He wants to leave the area, but no, won't be allowed. Okay, back to the base, going back to where he is, gets the HP, and now into the fight.
I really like how SATL are playing. They're gauging here if there is an opening or a chance to get the initial scores done. And once they understood, oh wait, there is no chance because True Rippers are trying to deny and fight back, SATL are like, we'll just hold it off. We'll wait for the wild Pokemons, gain experience, level up, and then we'll try to turn things around. And you can see Devesh right now, this is the opportunity. He's super low, but Devesh, he's like, there is a squishy Pokemon. That's going to be the Dodrio. Knock him out, and then on the top as well, one more knockout coming through, but immediately gets exchanged with the Scyther and Mime playing through, and therefore the top lane being regained back, and therefore SATL are like, True Rippers, you might think that the bottom is in control, but the top will be regained back.
And yes, with that, we already start with SAQL actually now taking the lead. The very first 2 minutes, if I talk about, SAQL and True Rippers have been consistent with their score lines. But again, look at the top lane. It's now in tension. It's just 1 minute remaining before the Regis arrive.
Let's see where the plans will be, but right now I'm looking at the levels as well. Not a lot to talk about. Everybody's around 6 and 5 from both the ends, but it is all about who turns the tide. Right now it looks like True Rippers want to play very well together, because in the first game were not given the chance, and this time they're like, we're going to play like an entire proper squad. We are going to make sure this is a proper team battle rather than individual battles happening on top, mid or the bottom. And that's what they're denying, and at all times making sure wild Pokemon are taken away. But look at this, Might uses a brilliant wing beat, and immediately there's a light screen coming through, but they did not capitalize. If they did, the Snorlax, that is Daksh, could have been knocked out. In the meantime, the Waste tried to get closer to their bases. Why? To deny that wild Pokemon being a gaining experience chance for SATL, and with that True Rippers will be gaining experience. But SATL still have a little bit of lead here in the overall score in terms of the goals, but right now there is still a chance. Yo, along with his teammates, they're here at the bottom because Regis has spawned.
Yes, with that, the Regis coming into the play. We still have the SATL scoreline getting moved on, but no, Mr. Mime, he's really needs to actually gain that level, because again, getting KO'd with either 1 or 2 moves is not what he requires, right? And once again, now that the scorelines have been achieved and the bottom Reggie already going into our team's favor, let's see what happens with the agility.
I think this will be taken away from SHL the way everybody is jumping into the top lane. There was the Tyranitar, but unfortunately it's not evolved, and I think this is something that True Rippers need to pay attention to. The levels, evolutions, so that they're ready for any battle that is upcoming. And look at this, because of the advantage, the top goal zone and the first goal zone here in the game 2 gets destroyed, giving an advantage for SHL as well as a lead.
Oh well, with that, SATUL actually now coming to the scoreline of 139. Oh, wait for it! Lucario might be able to add that, but no! Look at Dotrio! Oh no! It is going to be a KO coming in from the side of Lucario. And there we see Revenge KO comes in from 9 kills.
Yeah, they're like, okay, you knock out one of our players, we're going to destroy not just the player, but also the goal zone. 2 goal zones being lost from True Rippers, and they are already on a deficit. Again, not looking great in this week. Not too sure what's happening, but I think this is also SATL understanding that True Rippers might also be at the edge of the pressure, understanding that they might be on the top, players might be looking out for them, and there'll be counters. And with their last match, it's going to be super crucial to find any way that they can score points, but it is not looking like it's going to be happening this week. SATL on the other end, comfortable for them. Never overextending, but all the battles that SATL have taken here, Mridul, have been properly called and properly strategized and well executed.
Oh well, they would be executed with a great amount of intelligence going on, but then when you see the amount of defense that True Rippers have on the bottom lane, they know how much they are capable of that. Once again, we see some amount of leveling up once again being done from both of these sides. And either of the sides, we waited for Tyranitar to come for True Rippers, and now they're available with it. But there you go with the amount of resistance and amount of shields forming from the side of Tyranitar. But the Regice goes in the hands of True Rippers. And at last, destruction would be caused by the side of True Rippers. There you go! The damage has already started to begin.
Curse is going bonkers at that point, and along with him might help him out, and you can see the knockouts one after another. 3 players were sent back to base, a 3 chaos 3 coming through, and it is unstoppable. And immediately what do SATL do? Understanding that the Reggie on the top was also spawned, immediately take it down, find another ally, push it as close as possible to their base itself, the indestructible goal zone, and make the entire True Rippers team vulnerable as much as possible. And before True Rippers could take complete top control or respawn and get back to the game, they lost the Reggie. Ego still concentrated on gaining points, making sure that he scores the AS energy that he has, not losing it. But a brilliant play coming in from Daksh pushes the Mime, understanding that Mime has the capability of slowing the players, making them vulnerable to the power smash. Not too sure if he had it, but still, now that he's out, sent back to the base, this opens True Rippers chances to level up and gain experience, be ready for the last battle.
And with that, we are now moving towards the very last 3 minutes of the game, Lucifer. And when you talk about the amount of difference that they have created in the scoreline, it's 221 to 101. Ego once again moving up, and damage being dealt. Oh no, Stolax is all set to actually guard upon his team, and look at that, once again going into the base of SATUL. True Rippers want to add a lot. Yes, they would be adding 25 more Eos energy, but goal line keeps on moving and might adding a big 50 the goal post.
Everybody was so concentrated on the bottom, they were able to destroy the first goal zone for True Rippers, but they gave up a top lane, made it vulnerable, and right now they're looking forward to destroying another goal zone. There's just 3 more AS energies that they need to destroy the top goal zone. In the meantime, Devesh also finding an opportunity. With this, True Rippers are closing the gap. It looks like there's an opportunity, but what were SATUL doing? They're going in for goals. We will go for all the objective Pokemon that is there, making sure we have the experience, we have the level advantage, and we are ready for the last battles coming through. Now with 19 seconds to go, on top for the Regieleki, it doesn't matter, because in the Legend Repair, Rayquaza is going to be here. SATL are the ones who have to wait it out, because if they give up an opening, True Rippers will immediately clinch, because True Rippers are just 80 away. Rudul, super crucial last final stretch 2-minute battle. Either SATL to close or True Rippers to make a comeback.
Well, the counters need to be thought of, Lucifer, right now, because look at that. It's a silence from the both sides. It's 300 against 223.
What?
Who is going to actually make
A
that
standoff.
first move? A standoff coming in, and we begin. Yes, there is going to be a start, but no, they're still waiting.
It's like still waiting. They understand Cursed will go for a sneaky score and they're waiting for that to happen, but True Rippers understand they don't have a lot of time. They start pushing up. Looking forward to who starts off with the Unite, but before that happened, Cursed with a big score coming through pushes the overall score to 356, creating a vast difference. But in the meantime, Daksh finds an opening. The Blissey is out, the healer is out. This is a chance, but Mime comes out with the Pantomime Dance of his own. The Unite's being used. 2 players are out from SATL. Make it a third, a 2 KO streak coming
It can
in.
change.
All the players from True Rippers are there. Things can go vary. Rayquaza is also being hurt right now and being knocked out. In the meantime, Might finds 2 KO streak. Make it a third KO streak. Can he take on Rayquaza as well? It looks like yes. It is SATL to get Rayquaza as well. Even though they had lost players, they're ready to score. Might will be denied of scores, but for him, oh wait, actually he still has the chance, but tries to duel with the Dark Pulse coming through. Unfortunately, he does lose it out, but SATL 446, whereas True Rippers, they don't have players ready to go and score, and therefore SATL, what are they doing? They're just guarding the goal zones.
Well, yes, they are going to guard the goal zones, and look at that. The amount of points that they had to add through Rayquaza, they're already done with it. They took the lead, and now they just need to be having a standoff. Once again, it's time's up, and it is going to be a 2-0 SATL taking a victory against True Rippers, and a great one indeed, because in the end, it was close line, but when they actually stole the Rayquaza from True Rippers, because we saw that True Rippers were waiting for SATL to come. They did a lot of damage to SATL, got a lot of Pokemons, but there was Scyther, and if I remember, the damage being dealt from the side of Daksh from True Rippers. A mix-up, and SATL were actually able to get that Rayquaza down. In the end, the Rayquaza helped them to gain some more points in the lead, but at last it's SATL finishing this best of 3 at 2-0.
True Rippers, a great game. They tried. This time the entire team fared better. As you mentioned, Dux as well played really well. His blocks were working out phenomenally. But what happened for SATL was Might surviving. And as you mentioned, this is a weird kind of a steal that happened at the final stretch. Rayquaza was being fought from True Rippers and understanding that 3 players from SATL are knocked out. What did Might do? Seeing that for doing damage and making players back to the base, players from True Rippers were also low, and therefore Might took battle individual head on, one after another, came up with the wing beats, crisscrossed them and snapped them and sent back one after another. And then when he stepped into the legendary pit, because True Ripper players were fighting with the Rayquaza in the pit itself, they were being hurt even more, because you see there is going to be the tornado coming in, as well as immediate slams coming in from Rayquaza itself, hurting players, and they were super low. Might just capitalized, and within the blink of an eye, True Rippers, who thought they had control of what was happening in the mid lane, it was all lost. SATL, this is what we say, they gauge the game very, very well, and they're very smart. Cursed as well, he did not have to go for a score. He could have played with his team, but understanding that he has close to 40 AOS energy, he goes in, scores close to 56, and he's back into the fight.
Exactly, and that is what Ghost actually needed to do. He was there with the Dodrio. He knew that he had done the damage at the legendary pit, and now he needs to be there in the lanes. He actually needs to score for the team, and that is what the job well done was by the side of Ghost too. But now talking the amount of points that Team True Rippers got were between 6 minutes and 8 minutes. They could have continued with it. They actually lowered down to the difference, but that could not go into their favor.
Yeah, this 6 to 8 minute mark was super crucial for them in both the ends. They did get scores in, but at that time a Reggie steal was spawned at the bottom. And what did SATL do? They're like, let them score. We will get the experience advantage, level advantage. We'll get the attack boost. I think that's something that True Rippers need to kind of clinch on, capitalize on. I think that's what they missed out. They found an opportunity to score, but score will come into play when you're very close. They didn't know that they had a gap to close. it helped them to close the gap, but after that they went for a standoff. I think after that standoff they should have made sure that all the players from SATL have been knocked out. They didn't, and everything just fell flat on their faces. Unfortunate for them, but look at this. Daksh itself starts off. He even denies Tensai. Tensai goes super low. Tensai gets knocked out. Dodrio gets knocked out, but it is only Might who survived, who used his Unite, made trouble for the team, then immediately came with a wing bit and jumped on Rayquaza, making sure Rayquaza, which was low as well, capitalized on it, stole it away from True Rippers. It was all gone. That hurt.
Yeah, indeed, and they were clinched out of their, opportunity. To get them out of that opportunity, it was a job well done from Scyther, and kudos to him to actually able to perform that. Where you have lost your ally Pokemons, you're not available with it, but still being able to do the job. Great claps for the player. Again, moving forward, SATUL doing the job as a 2-0. True Rippers denied to get even a single round out of this match. Now they're available with only one, if it seems, or not even once. This was their last match.
True Rippers' last match. They'll be stuck at 7 points. They do not even get a single game. Therefore, no points for them. As we said right before the start of Game 2, now the league table opens up. There are chances for the other teams to swoop back in, take away the first seed. Let's jump into the league table itself, as we are talking about. SATL will be looking forward to getting themselves 6 points, and they're again back to clashing with Marcos. But Marcos can differentiate themselves because they have the next upcoming match. But there is Revenant as well, who will be looking forward to differentiating from them with 3 more points for them. If that happens, we might end up seeing again 3 teams in the second seed. But for now, True Rippers, with all their matches played phenomenally, they gave it their all. But for today, at least this week, it was just SATL who were ready after watching True Rippers' performance in the previous week against Revenant. They're like, now we know what to do. We found an opening of how we have to break down the players of True Rippers. SATL waited and immediately got that closure.
Well, yes, exactly. And facing a defeat against Team Revenant, Team SATL were all charged up. They knew what they had to do. So again, kudos to them for to be able to perform this well. But the last match they're remaining with, Marcos Gaming, if they are actually able to get that victory, they'll be able to add 3 points for themselves, and then they would be able to top the table, and Marcos Gaming are left with 2 more games. So for me, I think it's going to be Marcos Gaming actually landing at the first position after all the weeks are done.
It's going to be a tough decision, or maybe a call, but again, we are casters, we'll make a prediction, but we'll talk about the prediction when the match starts. But now we will jump for a quick discussion with our winners of match 1 of week 4, that is SATL's Might, joining us on desk here. Might, congratulations once again, welcome back to the desk. How is it feeling to get another victory?
Hey Sam, hey Mridul, thank you very much.
Hi.
It's like I kinda am in the hype right now.
Yeah, I mean, because of you guys, you've opened up the league table for anybody to take the first seed, and I'm excited. So what are your plans for that?
Well, with this win, I think anyone can land at that rank 1 spot. So I think we'll be aiming for that in our match against Marcos next week.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, again, Marcos do have 2 chances left with them. So what is going to be your strategy for the team, because you're left with only 1 match, right? And next week, what are you actually opting for?
We don't have anything specific. It's just if we win, then we have a major chance to take that rank 1 spot. I think. I think that's the only.
That is the one thing that has become a highlight right now, Might, and I'm wishing your entire team all the best because it's going to be a super crucial one. But before I let go of you, I saw Cursed today back to back on Dodrio, which was super interesting and it worked out really, really well. Are we going to be expecting very kind of strategies like that as well, where the opponents will not expect it, with speedsters or maybe other Pokemons itself coming out for the next upcoming battle?
Yeah, they can expect it for sure. We are trying every strategy possible. And it's kind of fun for us as well. Like, we enjoy doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very nice to see the versatility, and as well as every time the meta being changed and causing confusion. And I'm wishing you all the best. Looking forward to you guys taking the top seed. As I said, you did beat the winners previously, and now you're looking forward to
Yeah.
becoming the winners. And I hope it happens. Congratulations once again, Mike. Thank you for coming down. Wishing you the best for the next week.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See, I mean, you see, right? They're also like now feeling the energy. SCTL are back in. Especially, I'm pretty sure their fans will be super excited because now that they are climbing up, irrespective of who their opposition is, they want to be the first seed, and I'm looking forward to it. It can happen for anybody, but I want to ask you, Mridul. Now, SATL have opened
Yeah.
it up. Revenant have a chance. Marcos have a chance. You already mentioned Marcos, but with the next match coming up, do you think Revenant makes a comeback?
Well, again, Revenant right now, after they faced a defeat in the previous week against True Rippers, they're all charged up to actually gain those points and be at the top. We know how much position Revenant can get. Well, now it is going to be a break, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back, trainers from around the world. As you are looking forward to becoming the best, we are having the best teams from across Asia. Welcome to Pokemon UNITE Asia Champions League for the India region that you're watching on another fine Sunday evening. Rudul, how are you feeling after seeing a very intense first match? This is a second match and a very crucial one for both Marcos as well as Revenant.
Well, definitely my Sunday evening has been brightened up and, been amazing. Well, to actually witness this kind of matchup where SATUL were actually able to take it down to a 2-0. Well, now that Marcos Gaming are still left with two chances and SATUL are going to face them next week. SATUL, great work done now that they have added points. But again, the battle for the first position goes on. Whereas God's Reign, just one single chance left for them. So a lot of stories yet to be completed where true rippers are done for them. Now to actually see the matchup between Marcos Gaming and Revenant Esports, you have Curem, Meruem, Rex, Snowy and Volk from the side of Marcos, whereas you have Blizzard, Crowley, Nova, Swifty and Zshol.
As we said, super crucial match, and as you mentioned, Marcos do have another chance as well. So if they win today, they are going to be on a, I would say, highway to getting to the first seed, and they might as well be able to deny SATUL if their match once it happens. Marcos again win it out. So Marcos might not just get to double digits, might push north of those double digits, can get closer to 12 points. On the other end, Revenant.
Agreed.
They also stand a similar chance, but it's going to be a very tough one because right now they do have to win because Revenant have had a loss. But we will talk about the victories and losses in some time. But before that, a quick trivia. It's going to be from Snowy. We did see in the previous week how well he played, but right now I work as an STE full-time and play PU professionally part-time. Wow. He does two things, so you know if there is a guy who's able to do such phenomenal job in his professional work, is like IRL work, as well as his professional esports career, he has a lot of, I would say, capability to deliver a lot more blows. And sometimes I get Serena in my dreams. I mean, she is the queen, right? Everybody dreams a queen, and everybody dreams of a queen, and I think Serena is his.
Oh yeah, definitely Serena being the queen for Snowy, and then Lucario being, he himself being the Lucario. Okay, denying everything, again, I'm really keen to know that he's working out two careers together. Great work from his side though. And when you talk about Nova, he loves outdoor games and loves to sleep in the whole day. Wait, what? How are you able to manage both?
I mean, outdoor games, I mean, we understand. Outdoor games, you need friends, you eventually go down and play. But sleeping the whole day, I think for me to do that, somebody needs to make me very sick, and I don't think I would like it otherwise, because I'm kind of a little bit restless. But if you're able to sleep the whole day, it kind of gives you a hint, right? He is able to keep himself calm and composed, and his train of thoughts is very well aligned. He does not get wavered. He's like, if I want to sleep, and if he's able to sleep a whole day, I'm unable to go for sleep in the night itself. I have to think about a couple of things, put it out of my train of thoughts, and then understand, oh, it's late night, I need to get back and wake up next day for work. So it's going to be a situation if he loves to sleep in whole day, and on the other end, a guy who dreams of Serena as a queen. Both the things kind of I'm being denied of. I'm a little bit sad about it, but it's fine.
Well, I think, it is fine, but right now coming back to the games, a lot more depends on this very game. Where now the fate of SATUL coming to the top position is also in the hands of Revenant. If Revenant actually beats Marcos in this game, Lucifer, there are, making SATUL the contenders to actually beat Marcos and then be at the top. But right now, if Revenant are not able to beat Marcos, then the path of Marcos becomes clear. They will be at the first position.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see what's going to be happening because both the teams have two matches left. Whoever wins gets one step closer to get to the top seed, just like we talked about SATU. And after this week, there is just one more week left. That is the 5th of February, where we are going to be seeing what the teams are able to do to get to the first seed, second seed, third seed, fourth, and the fifth respectively, and in this manner one of the teams will be confirming their spot and slot for the LAN. That is going to be, they will be flying down to Malaysia to face off the other region champions as well as qualified teams coming in the second seed, and I'm looking forward to who those teams are going to be. And so just wonder, we just started this a couple of weeks back and now we are at a spot to decide one step closer, one after another, to get to a place where teams from India, Southeast Asia as well as East Asia will be going to the LAN stage. I'm super excited. I wish I could get a chance, but again, I'm pretty sure the teams, they've deserved if they'll be going down there, because they've put up a lot of efforts. Even with the highlights that we see, right, Mridul, you see how much effort goes in the battles itself. When we saw, talking about Might itself, right, how he won the previous match for the team, so it's going to be super crucial. Let's jump into the game as we see the fight between Marcos and Revenant, but before it, the draft phase.
Well, yes, we are here in the draft phase for now, whereas the timer goes on for the ban phase. The teams are going to decide which are going to be the Pokemon that they are going to ban. Well, for me, definitely there must be a Mew ban coming in, or, you know, as I talk about Urshifu and Scyther. But I'd be keen to know if a Snorlax gets banned.
Ban's done, Dodrio's out, and a Sizer as well. Making sure that these heavy hitters as well as sneaky players are not being allowed. But Marcos, we spoke to them last week, understanding that if there is an Urshifu available, if that chance is there, they're going to be immediately picking it up, denying it for Revenant. And Revenant understanding that Snorlax is going to be a major factor of how they're going to be planning out the fights, because he kind of acts as an initiator. We spoke about it. Immediately picked it up.
Oh, well, definitely. And when you talk about Swifty, Eldegoss being the choice, oh, I'm damn sure that he is going to go for it. Well, you talk about Volk, yes, this is what I talk about. With the Gardevoir, Volk is unbeatable, and we know of how much caliber this player has with the Gardevoir. When you talk about Rex, he is going to come up with the Slowbro, and Crowley going in for a Mew.
As you mentioned, it's going to be super crucial for Revenant to watch out on Volk. On the Gardevoir, the team itself plays so well that he does not come in the forefront of the battle. He plays behind and makes sure that his attacks connect, and on top of it, it's Muriam as well. In the previous week, we saw how well Volk and Muriam played together to immediately get points and victories for themselves. So super crucial, and on top of that, they have a Cliffable as well. On the Revenant's end, they also have a double ranged attacker. Crowley, we know he's exceptionally well when it comes to the Mew, but Blizzard as well. When this tag team played previously, True Rippers did have a little bit of a tough situation, but then True Rippers turned the tables around in the last week. So let's hope Revenant this time make this double range attacker play work.
Well, then the amount of tackle damage that needs to be done on the side of Marcos, Blizzard definitely getting denied of Dodrio, gets a Venusaur. So again, you know, some choices being made and definitely working out on them. We do have a Clefable. So how smartly Marcos plays with it, I'm really excited to see that. And a Glaceon and a Gardevoir combo. That is going to be powerful exceptionally. Whereas we begin with the match 2. The game number 1 is now live.
Game number 2, let's see. Match number 2, game number 1 is what we are going to be seeing. Marcos, they will have the Urshifu going around in the mid lane, whereas on the side of Revenant, they have the Speedster going in the mid lane. And I thought they would kind of send the Glaceon on the other end, but it looks like Glaceon did not make choice, and as well as the Gardevoir, which Volk has, I thought he might end up going to the mid lane, is also not happening. They're all just pushing lanes, trying to fight it out, and understanding that Revenant do like to fight in the forefront. Marcos are also doing the same. They're like, we want to deny that from happening from the get-go, because these initial starts are super crucial. Muriam as well in the top lane right now, not looking forward to evolving to the Glaceon. Let's see what happens.
Well, going forward with the amount of damage that the Snorlax can be dealing, he knows what he has to do. The job being done from the side of Revenant. I thought of Marcos actually banning the Snorlax for Revenant, but then again, the Dodrio also needs to be banned because it can add a lot of damage to the scoreline, and even till the end, Dodrio can be really harmful. Whereas the Snorlax is harmless when you talk about the first 8 minutes of the game. Oh, you begin with the scoreline, and it's actually going to be Revenant adding a lot of damage to Marcos.
It's going back and forth, but finally looking at, as you mentioned, right, there are knockouts that's happening. Snowy survives barely, but not too sure if he'll be able to make it in time. Comes in with a wicked blow. He will be able to connect, but nothing works out. Now, Muriam is super low. Thankfully, he'll be having berries. He'll be healing himself up and then try to deny as much as possible, but it's going to be tough, especially with the speedster also. Here, Kuram is going to be in the mix and the Cliffable is down. And the only thing that Muriam will be able to do is fight in range and look at the top lane. It's going to be destroyed very soon. In times, a 2 KO streak has also been taken. So, brilliant play coming in from Nova. Muriam just trying to level up. I think this thought of them not going in for the mid laners with Muriam being there is costing them. Revenant already at 100. This mid lane fight already happening is working in favor of Revenant. Revenant did lose a player, that was the speedster, but they still have Zshal as well as Crowley surviving. They are trying to fight with the slow bro. In the meantime, Cliffable comes with another one. Zshal with an immediate body slam coming through will be able to knock out the Snorlax, and now it's Crowley and himself trying to play another knockout, and it's only Kuram. The way these two players have played is just brilliant. This is why we say when you have a defender, you have to play smart, and with the ranged attacker, understanding the amount of damage that they're able to do. Mid lane control, Revenant keep it up.
Then working forward with the mid-ramp right now, it's also a great job being done from the side of Marcos. Yes, they don't have the scoreline available with them, but they are able to stop Team Revenant on the bottom lane. Whereas now is the time that the Regis would arrive. So gaining experience from the Regis and actually getting the amount of advantage on the attack or the defense side. Oh, wait for it. The Unite comes in. Absol would be able to take down one, but Gardevoir comes at the right moment, and Absol has fainted. Then back to the base, now back to the bat.
It was ironic. He took Gardevoir and Gardevoir took him. That's all that happened. Exchange blows coming through. But right now, Marcos are not looking to stopping. They're going head on. They want to make sure that they do a lot of damage. But Zshal, he enters from the back lanes. He was in the bottom lane itself, but he moves around the tall grasses and causes trouble, because of which Marcos lose a player and lose control. Slowbro is somehow surviving. He pushed completely to the bottom end. Therefore, he is at the Reggie's spot. But from there, he's immediately moving to scoring goals in. But will he be able to score is something that I'm looking forward to. I think he will be spotted and he will be stuck with nowhere to run. Stuck in the flux. A knockout is what he's about to face. He's also a defender. Therefore, Zshal and Rex will be going back and forth for a long time. But before that, Marcos understanding the crucial fight here in the top lane. They need to take the Regieliki, but before they could, because they were the only two players, Revenant are all here, and without the blink of an eye, in less than 5 seconds, having the speedster do so much damage that Revenant had another ally, and that's Regieliki, and the top goal zone is very close to being destroyed.
Well, the Blizzard is yet to add a lot of, points to the scoreline, and whereas the Blizzard being considered for the 1v1 duels, definitely Blizzard has added a lot for the team. Again, focusing more on gaining and leveling up, getting the evolution as soon as possible. Revenant has done a great job on that. Some chaos coming from the side of Marcos Gaming. They would be able to make the score to 100, whereas Revenant is already approaching 200 points.
The level 11 is affecting them a lot. Not all Pokemons are at level 11. There's 8 and 9 as well. Only one is at level 11. That's going to be Urshifu. But Urshifu is an all-rounder against the speedster. And with him just coming in with slashes, Marcos are unable to hold him off. Now Swifty, you can see the initial damage takers from Marco or Revenant's end are the supporters and defenders. Therefore, the ranged attackers and speedsters are immediately able to move in when their moves are in cooldown. So Marcos are facing trouble. Reggie again spawned, which is going to be a Reggie Ice this time. They're quickly looking forward to taking it down. There was looking forward to a steal, and that steal happens. The wicked blow works out, and they're able to get the Reggie Ice for themselves, and now they're moving in for another immediate execution where they're going to look for a team fight and getting the goal scored in. The side shock is going to be there, but look at the position coming in from Swifty. That is going to be affecting them a lot. If they're able to take out Swifty, then things can work out, and that's what happens. Immediately understanding that, Snowy puts him down and there is a chance, but Zshal is here. He's using the block, and there is not even a single goal that Marcos were able to score. But finally the Snorlax put down the block of no use, and now Blizzard is also super low. He also gets knocked out. Nova is going to be falling apart, and that is where Marcos are able to turn the table. Now with Reggie spawning, they have to immediately jump to the top lane, get the Regieliki for themselves, and then we might just end up seeing Marcos equalizing the score.
Oh well, with that, look at Marcos Gaming actually being able to, get a procurement in the bottom lane. They're now moving towards the top lane, and we are into the last 3 minutes and 30 seconds of the game where Reggie is still waiting at the top lane. Look at that.
Big block.
It's Revenant doing a lot of destruction, and the big man, the Pokemon Venusaur, is also going to cause a KO. With that, we are approaching to some last minutes of the game. The Unite move will be coming in no time, and Gardevoir would actually be able to add one more KO for the team.
But now Regielki is still there, and Rex, he's super low. He was barely at the edge of his blue HP, and they immediately take him down. Back again, Snowy takes Regielki. Snowy is playing really well in taking this objective and boss Pokemon for himself. Swifty is also super low. Regielki is already sitting in the goal zone, which makes them easier to destroy the goal zone itself. And on top of it, immediately capitalizing is Snowy as he eliminates and sends Swifty back to the base. The Eldegoss is out, and now looks like Marcos are back in the groove. Not only they're back in the groove, they've equalized the score.
Oh well, yes, exactly. It's 210 to 210. Okay, so for the bottom lane, we do have a Reggie coming up, and 20 seconds remaining for the legendary pit not to be, available with the Rayquaza. Yes, the Rayquaza would be arriving in no time, whereas Gardevoir actually gets the Reggie steal. With that, 5 more seconds remaining. Snorlax calls for it. Be available for the Rayquaza as it comes, and the Rayquaza has appeared.
Now there is a chance, block being used, but nothing worked out. But Nova, this is an opening. Revenant have lost their speedster. Blizzard is also super low, uses his Unite, along with a Unite being used from the Snorlax as well. But Zshol not finding any value because of the Unite coming in from Walk itself, and the Cotton Cloud Crash being enabled. Swifty, can he find something? He does damage to Walk. Walk is looking super low. This needs to be helped out with Cliffable being there. Snowy, he's trying to take out this Rayquaza, and yes, it is going to be Marcos clinching this and taking this home. This battle looks like it's done for. All the players are surviving from Marcos. They're all moving towards the goal zones, looking forward to scoring the goal. A Unite was used, but because they were already in the animation of goaling, the Nova's Unite was completely denied and was of no use. Volk also scores his huge 100 coming through. Blizzard is super low. If they're able to find one knockout here, they might just keep this fight ongoing, and looks like that the fight is still ongoing. Zshol is looking super low now. Kurem is a supporter, therefore he can take up a lot more damage, and look at what has happened. It was only one player surviving Zshol. Everybody else put back to their bases right in the goal zone at their base, and it's looking unstoppable. 780 is where Marcos pushed themselves.
Well, yes, exactly, and look at Zshol. He is so helpless at this moment right now, where 4 Pokemons are there at their base. The Pokemons need to be back, and okay, at last we do see that Absol came in, but no, went back, and 826, the last 30 seconds remaining. We might be able to touch the 900 scoreline, it seems, because we are already at 878 KOs coming back to back. The Pokemon's being brutalized, whereas it's now only Mew, and we touch the 900 mark.
One after another, one Pokemon is spawning, getting out of the base, safety area, and then moving into a knockout. Again another Pokemon spawns, knockout. One after another, that's all happening. Look at them. They're standing right at the barrier. They're like, you just spawn. You just get in our range and we'll knock you out. Not even give you a chance. Marcos, what a play. Waited for the right timing and opportunity, understanding that the last moment, last 20-30 seconds when the final stretch is about to, I would say, get in that timer, they went for the Regis. I think that experience and leveling up worked out really, really well for them.
Yeah, exactly. And to talk about the performance of Marcos, they did exceptionally well. Look at Snowy with the Urshifu, 205 points for the team, 87 MVP points. To be able to add so much knockouts, so many assists, and work for the team with the perfect amount what was required. Again, to praise Team Revenant, until and unless they got the Rayquaza, Revenant were able to get Marcos and were able to manage the same amount of scoreline till the last of the minutes. So again, kudos to them. Great work done from Revenant. But Marcos, after getting Rayquaza, they were unstoppable. And in the end, when we saw for the last minute where Zshol was the only, player available, only trainer available with the Snorlax, whereas the other Pokemons was still waiting to be arriving in the arena. Yes, a timer was set. They weren't able to get that chance. Whereas now, Marcos 928. A big statement has been made from their side. Well, let's see, can Revenant actually take it from them, or Marcos is going to end it at 2-0?
Things started not working out was when when the final phase started, the final stretch started, Noah being the first one to be knocked out. If that did not happen, Marcos could have a chance. And then Zshal, then their Slowbro itself, that boiling hot water, the Skull coming through is just brilliant at all times. That one hit, and then immediately his teammates helping him out, and also Volk understanding that he is being pushed a little bit towards Revenant's players and they're not getting a chance, and therefore Volk just moved a little bit back, and from there started using his side shocks and his psychics as well. Worked out really well. But credits to Cliffable, that play coming through was just brilliant from Curem. The gravity as well as the moonlight where he was healing his players at all points worked out. You can see Marcos, it did not look like they had control. They were always trailing behind Revenant. Even though they matched the score, it was eventually broken apart. Revenant pulled apart just before the final stretch. But what happened after the final stretch? That knockout of Nova, and then entire Revenant squad falling one after another. They used Unites a little bit early as well, and therefore you saw at 8 minutes to 10 minutes there's nothing. They were not even getting out of their base itself.
Oh well, definitely, you know how much of zoning was done to those Pokemons. They were zoned out, and definitely, you know, they were stretched out to their base. Again, when you actually talk about Marcos Gaming, a great job done where they started with the, you know, great positioning. Indeed, the job was still not done. Okay, so at last, Marcos getting to that 928 score line, being able to add so much of air synergies, and now that they have a 1-0, you know, getting one game also adds a lot of pressure to your opponent. So again, waiting for the results to come up, and I'm really excited.
I agree with you. This is looking very interesting. Marcos initially did not had the control, and then it's them getting back into it. Look at this initial replays that we are able to see of this game 1, match number 2, week 4. It's Marcos who are just losing their control. This mid lane fight as well, completely taken in control. I did even think about Murim, right? Playing on the Glaceon. Did not think about going mid lane in the early stages, because of which they were not ready to fight it out. But I think when they found a way to knock out Nova, right, on the Speedster, that's when a lot more gates opened up for Marcos, a lot more chances opened up, and they were always looking forward to taking down Nova as soon as he's spotted. I think keeping that in the back of their mind, that they have to look forward to making sure that the Speedster is not allowed to do a lot of shenanigans, is the reason I think Marcos got back in control. And Revenant on the other end, they thought their first 0 to 6 or 8 minutes of the game, the way they played together as a team, the fights that they were able to take will work out. In the last Rayquaza legendary pet fight, not taking the Reggie at the bottom, gaining that experience, missing it out, and then being a little bit too quick to use the Unite. I understand that happened because they lost Nova so early on. Losing their Speedster, Absol fainting so early, they had to find a way to buy time so that the Absol is back into the game. They used their own Unites. None of the Unites found any value. And what did the others do? As soon as their Unites got over, Marcos jumped in with their own Unites and started knocking out one or the other players of Revenant. So it is game 1. But Mridul, there's another game. So Revenant, looking at how they played, they still stand a chance. But Marcos, they're just keeping their victory streak from the previous weeks.
Yeah, definitely. And Marcos being exceptional with the performance that they've shown until now. I'm keen to know that if Marcos are actually, you know, able to take that first seed. Again, to talk about their performance throughout these weeks, and actually in the previous week we saw how even with the Pokemons that they're not comfortable with, they depend on how the opponents are able to choose the Pokemons, and then they go for the strategy. So again, Marcos Gaming is that team which also works on their strategies according to the situations that form at the moment and in that very minute.
Yeah, I agree. In terms of getting an advantage or understanding that if I let go of a Pokemon before choosing it now, and if that Pokemon becomes available for our opposition, they'll pick it up. I think that strategy is also very crucial. The picks that you make, understanding that how much damage your Pokemon and how well you feel with it is going to be super crucial, and how well the opponent also feels. Maybe you're not used to that Pokemon, but denying that Pokemon to the opposition works out really well. Jumping to the next draft phase of game 2, can Revenant make a comeback? This is their comeback move. Again, this is a best of 3 here, Mridul. So if they don't get something done here, do not get game 2 under control, Revenant lose it all, and they will be looking forward to just their last match, which will be in the next week.
Oh well, with that we begin with the last 5 seconds of the ban phase. We will be having the bans coming up. Again, it is going to be a Scyther ban, and at last we see the Urshifu ban coming from the side of Revenant. Yes, they are going to ban Urshifu for Marcos Gaming, whereas now they have the opportunity to take it for themselves. Or we see the Scyther coming as a ban from the side of Marcos. Nova, straightforward, no time taken. The Dodrio is up to be taken.
In the last week also, this was a similar thing. When Volk saw that the Dodrio is available, they immediately picked it up. So understanding that the availability of Dodrio is there, Nova, without wasting any time, he picks it up, and Nova is a very good player on Dodrio. He's going to cause some trouble and ruckus. But in the meantime, Marcos are like, you might have taken a Speedster, but we'll make sure that your supporter and the defender that you're looking forward to is not available. Therefore, they pick up the Snorlax and Blissey, and you can see Revenant, they had to change strategy. Swifty, he immediately goes in for a Mamoswine. There is still the Eldegoss that we generally see Swifty coming upon, but Revenant, whenever there is a change on Swifty's Pokemon, you should be ready from Marcos's end or any other team that is opposite in the opposite end for Revenant. That Revenant are changing strategy now with Swifty on Mamoswine. I'm looking forward to what they'll be looking forward to doing.
So Meruem going for a Dragapult, and Snowy is the only one remaining to choose. Crowley is quite pointing out on that Delphox, it seems, and Zishol now coming up with a Slowbro. No time taken. Yes, he would be going in for that. Crowley goes in for the Delphox. Now everything depends on what Snowy is left with it. You know, Swifty going for a Mamoswine. Well, let's see. Not taking the Eldegoss and going for a Mamoswine, how he performs. Snowy, the Gardevoir is available. He is going for it.
I think Snowy will be taking the Tyranitar from Volk, and Volk will be moving into the Gardevoir in this preparation phase. Generally, that is what we see. But again, okay, as I was about to say, Volk has pulled off surprises in the previous week. Can he do it again? He's like, no. I've played very comfortably on Gardevoir, and it's become an overpowering Pokemon that any of the other teams are able to re-strategize against. So let's hope Revenant are ready for it. But with Crowley also changing along with Swifty, they are one of the very experienced MOBA players here, and they'll be looking forward to working around with a lot of strategies, which maybe Marcos might be surprised. Marcos, in the entire meta or in the Pokemons that they pick, there is not a hefty change that they do. You can see familiar Pokemons that you have generally seen them playing. Range attackers coming through, the defenders that they like, as you can see, the Snorlax, Blissey that they like. They pick up those Pokemons itself. On Revenant's end, they go for a lot of the variety of choices. Let's see if it works out. Game number 2, in your screens, Revenant, it's a do or die.
Well, yes, we begin with a do or die situation for Team Revenant, and here you go. Some gaining and leveling up to be done on the side of Marcos. These are the 3 minutes where the Pokemons also need to evolve as soon as possible. Whereas the Snorlax doing the damage, doing the work to actually get those attacks as soon as possible. Whereas we talk about Blizzard getting a lot of damage from Purem. Adds the first 8 points for Revenant.
Revenant do start it off, but Marcos do answer back in Chaos Energy scores. But Blizzard trying to do damage, understanding there is a possibility of a knockout, eliminates the Larvitar. Unfortunate, but it's nothing to be worried about right now. We will be looking forward to how it works out as time progresses. Revenant, at least in this get-go of the starting 2 minutes, things are under control. They're just scoring goals, whether it might be top lane or bottom lane. Top lane is faring better for them for now. Bottom lane, I'm looking forward to how they make it work. They are worried about both Defender as well as Crowley playing over there with the Delphox, which can burn them up with the Scald, the boiling hot water, as well as the fire itself.
Oh well, look at Team Revenant. They have got 36. Oh, as I was going to say it, they actually reached the scoreline of 51. Lucario being the one for it. Marcos, right now, it is just about the first 2 minutes. Even if they are not able to catch up on the scoreline, we have seen till the end, they were able to just match the scoreline of Revenant. After that, it was how wonderful with the records that they were able to add it. But oh, Lucario adding the amount of chaos and being wonderful with its job. It is also to talk about the bottom lane where the Snorlax is getting denied from Slowbro.
Right now, it is also a mid lane duel that is happening where teams are leveling up, gaining experience with the wild Pokemon coming through. Rex goes for a nap and immediately uses his body slam and moves back rather than going in for a hit. In the meantime, there is still the Tyranitar evolution that we are looking forward to on the top lane, and it is a 2v1 situation on the top. Goes in to score 2 but immediately gets knocked out. On the bottom, it's going to be a situation of a 3v4. Marcos looking and waiting for the Reggie to spawn. In another 20 seconds, we are going to be seeing the Reggie. And I think that's what Marcos want to start off with. Not only with that, they are also looking forward to the wild Pokemon. Noah in the meantime breaches right in between. Does not find a lot in terms of value. The side shot from Wall pushes the players from Revenant back.
Oh well, they are going to tank a lot of damage, and with that, Revenant is actually going wonderful with their job right now. The choice of Pokemons might be, exceptional, but again, when you talk about Marcos, Dragapult is there with them, and let's see what Dragapult is there to add for the team. Whereas Revenant, the Lucario, what a wonderful job being done. Not being able to tackle it. Oh, here he goes. One more KO. And this time it was on Snorlax.
Revenant right now have said, we are not going to wait for anything. We have a Unite, we use the Unite. We are ready for a fight, we take the fight head on. Irrespective of where players of Marcos are playing from, we just take the battle head on and do not wait for them to answer. Whether it is in kind or whether it is in them trying to cause trouble, Revenant are like, we know it's a do or die situation. They also clearly know this is a chance for them to gain a lot in terms of value and advantage. And immediately after taking the bottom Reggie, they are here for the Reggie Aliki. And looks like before anything can be done from Marcos, it is going to be Reggie Aliki taking from them. At least for some kind of, I would say, consolation for now. They do take down the Mammoth Swine coming in from Revenant's end. That does come from Walk, and Walk now trying to deny with his Psychic as well as Side Shock coming through. He denies, wastes time, but he needs to be ready and ready for it. Fireworks being used from Crowley, a very big and a brilliant Unite, but most of them are just stepping away from it and pushing the forces of Revenant, and you can see players one after another are getting eliminated. Unfortunately, they do also lose one of them. That's going to be the Dragapult. Rex is super low. Crowley is thinking of chasing him, but unfortunately Kyurem, he could not save him. Barely was he surviving. Snowy in the meantime was on a chase of another one of the defenders, therefore could not help his teammates. Icicle Crash coming in, but Kyurem is like, this time I'm going to help him out, and this is going to be super crucial. Blissey as well as the Tyranitar playing together can find a lot in terms of value. Burning Hot Water coming in again, but Zishal, because he's a slow bro, will be able to take up damage and go back again.
And with that, we are already done with half of the game. Working out on the side of Marcos, we do see that they are able to get that AO synergy, but the defense of Revenant being so strong and then they being so aggressive on the chances that they are taking. Well, Marcos now going for the top lane. It is only going to be Dodrio. Nova calls for help. He needs help, whereas he is not available with the perfect amount of support. Now that the Regirock is here, it is going to be a fight by Revenant's Blizzard to get it alone. Yes, some amount of defense was also be added as a deep advantage for Revenant, as now the fight, the duels are in the mid lane towards the bottom lane.
Rex is making a big gamble here. He's jumping around with his body slam, but not for too long. He does not have any of his teammates nearby. You can see in the map, and he will be finally knocked out before his teammates do anything. But in the meantime, it's a bottom lane fight which is already initiated, and it looks like it's walking away, going away from the hands of Marcos. They're losing one after another. 2 KO streak. Tyranitar also goes, and everybody is wiped and sent back to the base. There's nothing that they could do. It was a good call, but right now looking at Revenant in the score 231, as well as having all their goal zones still intact, Marcos, they're unable to get back into the game. And look at this Zishal, he's going to try for a score, but it does not matter. They've gotten their Reggie, which will push towards to their base goal zone. They have one goal zone to protect before their base itself, but if that also goes, then Rayquaza fight coming through, where Marcos will be, I would say, pushed towards to their base. And before Marcos get back out to the base to the legendary pit, we have seen things happen where Marcos have also wiped and melted the Rayquaza in their favor. It can happen here as well.
Oh well,
But in
now
Revenant's
everything
favor.
depends on the Rayquaza, right?
Yeah.
Because again, look at Revenant, 231 points that
Huge
they have got.
difference.
At last, a KO comes in on Delphox. It was so long that Marcos could have got a KO on Team Revenant. So again, now they need to buckle up with the performance. There he goes, Swifty gets a lot of damage. Would be able to stop, before they actually add the points. Okay, there comes a KO, and now 69 points to be added, but no, stopped again, stopped again. Crowley and the Lucario are back at the perfect time.
Swifty knew he just needs to buy time. After buying
Yeah.
time, look at this. One after another players are falling apart. Yes, Crowley was knocked out,
Blizzard.
but look at the amount of AS energies dropped. Marcos, not even anything that they've been able to score after the initial 2 minutes. They're just stuck at 11. They're trying to find a way to change the tide with less than 20 seconds left. Finally getting a Reggie for themselves. It's going to be a Reggie Rock, but Swifty is a defender. He'll be able to take damage. Walk is out. Zichol is looking right now super low, but before that it's Miriam who goes down. There is the chance of Kurim helping his teammate on. That's what happens. He understanding that it's about time for Rayquaza. He needs to make sure a couple of his teammates are still alive to buy and waste time. Rex is there, but for how long? Thankfully, there is the Tyranitar already here from Snowy. Can he find any value? Useless Unite. Also Unite coming in from Kurim. Can they find any knockout? Swifty still going in with his high horsepower and then helping out with Lucario with his punch. Bone Rush coming through, I think. He finds a knockout. That's the Tyranitar out, and immediately they can go ahead for a fight against Rayquaza. But they know they have the lead. They have nothing to be worried about. Zishol finally goes down, and this might just be the opening. I'm sorry, Rex actually goes down. This might be just the opening that Revenant just wanted to find and immediately put down the entire squad of Marcos. And it looks like there's just trying to buy time in the meantime. They're just doing slight damage with the side shot that they have left and just trying to cause problems.
Oh yeah, and in the last of the minutes, if Snowy and Kurim are able to get that Rayquaza before Marcos
steal.
Gaming would be able to get that, oh no, the Lucario with 14 level experience, that is a lot against the opponents, and he's the only one there with it. So again, adding a lot of damage, would be able to take down the Rayquaza, and this time it is going to be Revenant covering up one game against Marcos. Yes, the story has been written, more 40 seconds remaining, but again, no chance for them to come out. Marcos this time was brutalized by Revenant's performance.
They're at 11 still from the initial 2 minutes here. This is what I said. Whenever Crowley and Swifty change Pokemons, right? You better be ready for it, because they change the momentum of the game, they change the plan of the game, and it causes a lot of trouble. Again, you can see the rush coming through. Lucario is just brilliant, as you pointed out. He is on a level better than what Marcos can even get to. There is the Dragapult, but the Dragapult is a ranged attacker, so you understand if it is in very close quarters, it becomes very, very squishy. Just as Volk, and that's the reason we are unable to see Marcos finding any kind of value. And with this, Revenant get the second game. As we said, it's a do or die situation for them. Not that they'll be losing positions or they'll be losing on the tournament. It is that they'll be losing a chance to become the top seed in this first stage, that is the league stage. And Revenant, they're like, we are back in the game.
Indeed, and when you're actually going to talk about the very last chance that they have to be the undefeated top seed of this stage, what I'm going to point is Marcos Gaming actually needs to win the third one, because if they win this one and here or there, here or so, they lose the game against SATUL, they are still going to have a chance against SATUL to be at the top, right? And when you actually talk about Revenant at this moment, they brutalized Marcos, as I already said. In this game, it was so amazing that Crowley, Nova, Blizzard, Swifty, they have shown that being together and getting the strategies correct, you can do wonders in a game. Where Marcos stopped at 11 points from the start of the game, the defense was so strong from Revenant. Again, to talk about, Meruem and Snowy, indeed they worked out. Tyranitar got a lot of damage, but again, Meruem, if I talk about, was just one level behind Blizzard every single time.
There was a close combat that we saw coming in from Blizzard. I thought it was a bone rush, but again, it was interesting of how he played. But as you mentioned, right, Blizzard, I feel like he was the show stealer. Not the show stopper, but the show stealer. At all points, we were seeing that he was just one after another finding knockouts. And Marcos were unable to do anything. Now again, they did have a Dodrio, but the Dodrio was all around the map and always concentrating on getting scores done. And I think that's very well categorized play coming in from Revenant that split up their responsibilities. And it just worked out. And Revenant, you can see there's a big gap in 6 minutes and 8 minutes. They did not score anything. But what they were able to do is withhold Marcos from doing anything in this minute as well. So from the initial 2 minutes of what we have seen, Marcos have been unable to find anything. And once Rayquaza was taken, Revenant were like, oh, we have chance to get score, increase our score, and let's just do it. And wow, this is surprising to see. It was only their Tyranitar, which was Snowy, to get 11 goals, Mridul.
Yeah, exactly. And whereas the other ones weren't able, weren't able to secure or procure AO synergy points at the goalpost. Well, for now, it's already done.
The gloves were too heavy.
Yeah, the gloves were too heavy, and to actually, forget this and actually move on for the game number 3. Well, let's see how Marcos can do this job. To actually talk about this game, how Revenant was aggressive, was defensive, and was, continuous in actually gaining those points. When you actually talk about the positions that they had, that was every single position that they could get. Ranatar tried to add a lot for the team, could actually get one Reggie if I remember, but again, one single Reggie against 4 or 5 Reggies from the side of Revenant. Marcos lost this one in the game number 2. Again, everything it still depends on the game number 3, and let's see what is Marcos trying to do.
As you asked, right, Marcos, can they make a comeback? Can they do a reset? They've actually done it. Previously, when they fought against True Rippers, I think in week 2, initially it was True Rippers. Looked so phenomenal. Well, I thought Marcos have no control of it and there's nothing that they can do it. So I think making that happen is something that I'm looking forward to how Marcos are able to do. They're really good in those resets, and I think every team in this tournament have kind of found the situations where they are able to do that mental resets. We saw, right, in the trivia, like maybe eating, maybe quickly catching up on something, watching something, resets their mood. I think Marcos will be looking forward to doing that right now, Mridul.
Definitely some coffee breaks are also required, right? And getting the coffee in the hands, and then with the caffeine you need to move on to actually get the power. Well, now Marcos and Revenant, and it is after 1 week, because in the previous week we were not able to see the scoreline. Each and every game ended at a 2-0, but now we are actually going to see a battle done hard, where Marcos Gaming wants to win this one and get that first seed, and Revenant has already added 1 point for them, even if they lose this one.
Both the teams, I would say right now, have 1 point for themselves, whether they win or lose right now. But as you mentioned, there is going to be one team who are going to be getting closer to get to their first seed. But this league table is getting interesting one after another. This week's game is going to a 1-1 right now in the last one. Just imagine, Mridul, the next week's game as well goes into a 1-1 situation. What happens then? We are so confused until the last best of 3 to figure out who gets the top seed, who gets the 5th seed, and figure out the things in between. It's going to be a lot of trouble, a lot of brain work, something that we do not have to kind of go bonkers about in crunching those numbers. A team will do it, we will look forward to it, but we have to crunch our brains when the match happens right now, because this is going to be crucial for both of them. One, to take the lead in the in the overall league table. On another end, to kind of deny the chance of getting to the top, right? The first seed, everybody knows, has 2 advantages. One is going to be getting a chance to get themselves closer to $5,000 in the second stage, as well as a ticket to Malaysia on the land.
Oh, well, definitely a lot of chances are still available for each of these teams to grab upon. And again, a lot needs to be done now. If we talk about all of these teams, definitely I do have some names in my mind that Marcos Gaming, S8UL, True Rippers, each and every team stands that caliber, stands that chance to actually get it for themselves. Whereas True Rippers are already done with their chances. So for the other teams, buckle up your bags, buckle up and actually, get the job done. The last game where the scoreline is 1-all. Marcos or Revenant, whoever wins this climbs one ladder to be at the first seed. Yes, the ban phase is over where Urshifu has been banned by Revenant and Marcos Gaming goes for a Dodrio ban.
I really like this. Now, the entire horizon of what kind of teams try to manage or work around gives us an idea. We have generally seen that every match that a team has won there was a Dodrio or a Urshifu. Now both Dodrio and Urshifu are not going to be there for either of these teams, makes the entire life and matchup interesting. Snowy immediately picks up Sizer, which is something that Revenant need to be worried about, but Crowley, understanding there is Mew available, he immediately picks it up. But Zishal, he had the opportunity of picking up Snorlax, but I think he felt very comfortable when he played Slowbro on the game too. He's like, my boiling hot water is really good. I'm going to making sure that I use it very frequently and cause a lot of trouble. Curium, after seeing the first game how well he was able to play with the Cliffable, he picks it up. But 50 again, he moves to Mamoswine. He generally moves a switch to the Hoopa, now making that switch to change the momentum of the game to a Mamoswine. I hope Revenant have all the things planned, but Marcos, they're switching back to their usual, right? Because you can see Muriam as well as Volk. There's Gardevoir as well as Glaceon.
Indeed, and a Sylveon comes up. So, okay, so indeed it is going to be real difficult to actually tackle it up. And where we saw Revenant with the Lucario, I'm shocked that Marcos actually never went for a Lucario ban, because again, Blizzard was that guy who did the most of the job against Marcos game.
We'll wait and watch if Blizzard will be able to do it again here. If he is not, Marcos can have a chance, but Marcos are playing smart. But in terms of, I would say, the Pokemons going to the mid lane, right? I'm not too sure how they are going to be planning it. Marcos, this time at least, I hope they don't send an all-rounder. This time I hope they send one of their ranged attackers, because Revenant, that's what they're capitalizing on. Revenant understand if they get the initial aggression in front of them, the ranged attacker or the all-rounder will be left lagging behind. And when the all-rounder makes its move from the mid lane to the top or the bottom lane, it will be caught alone and immediately can be sent back to base with a knockout. So let's hope Marcos will be able to plan properly against Revenant. Revenant, looking forward to them having a ranged attacker. They send Sylveon to the mid lane, and same Marcos as well. As I said, if they have a ranged attacker, they should mostly send that ranged attacker to the mid lane, and that Glaceon is out to level up.
Well, there's definitely, if I talk about Marcos, a learning should be there for them that they should be leveling up as soon as possible, because we saw that Lucario was so, overpowered against most of these Pokemons, because he had the level with himself. And when you have the level, when you have the experience against all your opponents, definitely you can add a lot to the team. And Lucario was able to do so. Look at that. Blizzard shows the power that, even if it's the previous game or this one, we are going to be the first ones adding those points. And Sylveon plus the Lucario, we already reach a 24-0 of Revenant versus Marcos.
Marcos, I still feel like they can be getting back into the game very soon. I would say right now Revenant are also kind of baiting them, if you want to put it. Like, they're trying to fight with wild Pokemon, and their teammates are either in mid lane or hiding in the tall grasses, because of which what happens, Marcos thinks that it's only one Pokemon. They initiate the battle, and then they themselves get surprised seeing 3-4 players, and voila, they're knocked out and sent back. Now Snowy, he understands that there should be somebody in the tall grasses. Blizzard was there, but with the speed he just moves away, goes back towards his base, understanding that there is no players close by. But in the meantime, Mamoswine is going to be there. 50, let's see, he's still not evolved, he's still in a Swinub, but eventually he will be. But Marcos, they're playing very well in terms of composing themselves. They're not overextending. They're letting Revenant players overextend, initiate the fights, and then immediately jump upon it.
With that, Revenant actually the very first 2 minutes looked into their favor, but then you talk about Marcos cooking up for the perfect moment. Well, Lucario again adding those points, Mew also available, and the goalposts have been left open, whereas Marcos straightforward is trying to focus on the bottom lane.
Because Marcos understood that majority of the Pokemons had pushed up top lane, got goals scored in. Let's go for the bottom lane, take control of it. Did not work out, and Blizzard is already back to his blistering performance that we saw. He's delivering knockouts one after another and even scoring goals. If they are unable to stop that hefty gloves of Lucario, Marcos will have a very tough time.
Well, that counter ability of Blizzard to actually tackle both of the situations and working out with it, he is doing a great job. Talking about Marcos right now, they are more focused on getting the bottom Reggie first, and I think that is going to be the job that they're going to do. Yes, at last the Reggies will arrive, whereas the top Reggie Lucario is enough to get
alone.
the Reggie for the team.
As you said rightly, Reggie has been taken, Regirock is out, but look at this. Reggie Aliki will be taken way before Marcos could make their move, and Blizzard has already destroyed the top goal zone, which makes the second goal zone on the top lane very vulnerable, destructible. But in the meantime, Revenant, they're looking maybe to lose one of their goal zones. They lost their Sylveon, but thankfully there is Swifty who's made his way along with Zishol, two defenders trying to hold it off, but making sure at least one of the defenders pay a price, or at least the Pokemon itself. Rex takes the Crowley down, or Mew if you say, but that's not enough because Marcos, they were unable to close the gap.
And it's open for Revenant to actually procure upon. Oh no, the Regiliki did the job for them. They could have added those points, but now that the goalpost is not that much available, it is closed down to once again to wait for it. Oh, Snowy goes in, and at last we see the Lucario going down. Marcos, this is the chance. You have that moment for yourself. Add the points as soon as possible. It is going to be Swifty with the Pillar Swine stopping them.
It's going back and forth. If he's hitting Snorlax, the Scyther is trying to score. If it is hitting the Snorlax, the Scyther is trying to score him. But right now, Blizzard is here. They need to be watching out for him. He's at level 9, whereas Snowy is at level 10. There is still a chance, but with a defender helping out, it's going to be getting tough. But Sylveon takes down the ranged attacker. But again, exchange of blow. The Gardevoir takes down the Sylveon. So it is back and forth. The range in terms of the score is also not a huge difference. So Revenant need to watch out. If this scoreline gets matched up, Marcos might make their way in, especially with two of their Pokemons. Make it three of the Pokemons from Marcos' end sitting at double digits, whereas on the side of Revenant there's only one, that is Blizzard at level 10.
Yeah, the Marcos actually, I really wanted them to have a perfect counter or a perfect answer for Lucario, and yes, they were able to add those points, but they still haven't been able to match up with a scoreline of Revenant.
Tonight.
Look at the destruction. Brilliant work done, and Revenant would again be taking the Reggie for themselves with that KO streak coming up. Okay, so the Glaceon is actually doing the job, and with that Marcos is now able to take the lead. Move to the top lane as soon as possible, but Revenant is already set with their defense.
This is going to be a very crucial Regieleki fight happening from both the ends. Sylveon has started it up already.
Yeah.
Snowy is moving in. Sylveon sees all the player cards coming in, therefore moves out. But in the meantime, Snowy has started the battle. Kyurem using the Moonlight, trying to heal the players, as well as a Unite coming, a big one. And with that Unite, it gets undeniable. Regieleki, Marcos takes it away. Swifty trying to hold it off with a storm. Does not work out. Another knockout, and Marcos full in control, pushed back even Noah, making sure that they will not be able to deny this Regieleki, and another goal zone being destroyed. This time it is Revenant trying to figure out what next to do, because they are the ones who have lost two goal zones. Crowley is stuck, and behind him is going to be Gardevoir, pushes right into the side shock. What a strategy and a play coming through. This time Revenant, they are the ones who are split apart and wondering, what should we do?
No. That is going to be a chance where Marcos have actually taken that lead, and look at that, Lucifer, the bottom lane that they're moving for. The top lane seems so procured from their side. Everything is all set, but right now, look at Revenant. Slowbro is actually thinking a lot. He seems confused, but it is not the thing. Scyther adding the difference. gets KO'd by Lucario, it is still a 100-point difference. They have a huge lead, and now the last minute before the legendary Rayquaza arrives.
Yeah. Brilliant decision of going back to the spawn and now immediately jumping to the top lane, and you can see no goal being done. Blizzard and Zishal thought they will get a chance, and the only chance that they'll be able to get is to run away. In the meantime, the other players from Marcos jump on Regiais, understanding that there is less than 30 seconds. Let's get all these boss Pokemons for ourselves, making sure we have the advantage, we have the boost, we have the level and the experience, causing trouble. Now with less than 30 seconds to go, Revenant are the ones who need to be ready for this Rayquaza fight. If they're not, they're going to lose the chance that they had brought back themselves in the second game after winning it. Marcos will close on this third game.
At last, Marcos is looking like they would be the ones actually getting the victory in the very third game. But then Lucifer, anything said before the match is over is always and always, hypothetical. Moving forward, Marcos Gaming, Revenant Crowley comes up with a 72. And now they're just 32 points away.
Super crucial battle. Zishal gives away his position with the block, gets pushed right into the mid, but he uses his Unite. Another Unite I think did get used, but a Unite coming in from Wall finds value, eliminates the slow bro, and now Swifty trying to make use of his own, but a brilliant play coming in from none other than the Sylveon, but was not long enough. And now with 4 players already out, Revenant, they have no chances. It's only Crowley surviving. Crowley is in the bottom lane and his position is already known
Snowy.
for. On the other end, there was 3 players also knocked out from Marco, so it is only Snowy, as you mentioned, going on a 1v1 against this Rayquaza. Super low. Crowley did try to use his solar beam, but it was a little bit too early. Snorlax comes in with, I think, a slam or a basic attack, not too sure of it. Zishal is trying to deny players from making use of this advantage of Rayquaza. Snow immediately makes sure he pays a price. Now it's Nova along with Swifty trying to keep guard of the top lane, but I don't think it'll be working out. They're all pushing up. Snowy, he's about to lose his shield as well, but in the meantime a big 100 gets scored, and Marcos, they're back in the groove, closing the game 3.
Well, yes, exactly. When for a statement for Revenant, you got Lucario, we got Sizer. The job is well done. 579, 679 now. They being at the pace, they are going to touch the 700 mark. They are going to touch it. 800 they are opting for. Whereas, look at
standing at the barrier.
Cliffable still standing at the barrier. He still has. They're available with it, but they're not.
They're like, don't even try to think of crossing over your barrier. The only place that you'll be allowed is the exact base, nothing else. And Revenant, they're not even able to step out. Marcos, what a play. Snowy finally goes down, but what win? It was only at their base. If Snowy was knocked out somewhere in the bottom lane or the top lane, there could have been a 4-man push that Revenant could have made and look forward to making a comeback. But with 800 and a 200, there is no chance. But Marcos played a very smart battle. Initially understood that they did not have an advantage in terms of the level and how Blizzard was playing. They waited it all out. And once Marcos understood that Revenant players are concentrating on goals, they swooped in, fought with wild Pokemons, fought with the boss Pokemons on the top and the bottom lane, leveled up, got experience, and were 3 levels above players of Revenant. That's where things started swinging in favor of Marcos.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. One of the players of Marcos had that trivia that they love the comebacks, right?
It was SATL's end.
It was SATL's end. But again, if I talk about Marcos Gaming, I think they should add this for themselves. What a great comeback, Lucifer.
Oh, yes.
807 points against 209. And a slap, I must say, to the statements being made by the Revenant side. They got a victory of 900 against 11. Okay, wait for us coming up with a Sizer and performing exceptionally well. Damage dealt and damage taken is somewhat around going to be same. Snowy did his job. He did all he could, fought alone with the Rayquaza till the end, where Snorlax came up to, assist him, and then they acquired the Rayquaza.
I think Noah's pick on Sylveon did not work out as they expected, and also having a double, I would say, defender setup. We saw Zishal was trying his best, but the moves coming in from Marcos's end, the side shock if you want to talk about, Murem with his ice shots coming through, the ranged attacks, right? They were hurting these defenders to get closer. By the time the defenders got closer, they were already drained of their HP. There was nothing that they could do. But it was a very close battle. You can see until 6 minutes it was back and forth. But things changed when Marcos got Reggie in the bottom and then immediately switched over to the Reggie on the top. Once they got the Reggie on the bottom, right, the Reggie Rock, they knocked out multiple players from Revenant's end, and from there they destroyed the goal zone and immediately switched to the top lane, because of which that momentum that they built up, right, it just continued throughout the last few minutes.
Indeed. Talk about the amount of points procured by Marcos Gaming. The first 2 minutes they were silent.
Yeah.
The next 2 minutes they were able to procure somewhat or the other points, but this time it was, a shutdown to Revenant in the last of the minutes, where Revenant can actually gain those points. They were not allowed to. Yes, they were able to get 72 points by Mew, but other than that, in the last 6 minutes, it was only Mew adding points for the team.
Yeah, Crowley is known for going and scoring. Irrespective of a disadvantageous situation, he knows that he needs to get scores done. But I think understanding that Blizzard was causing a lot in terms of the problems and then taking these Regis, that worked out. This battle where they took control of the bottom lane, unable to figure out what they could do, and Blizzard initially playing alone on the top lane, I think that was the reason that they couldn't get a lot in terms of control. But this timed Unite, right, again, Blizzard getting knocked out as he takes a power nap immediately. You saw he got juggled, or he got overthrown. His floor itself, the ground started shaking and there was nothing that Blizzard could do. He lost control, he fumbled, he slipped, he fell right on his face and there was nothing they could do. Swifty swooped in. There was the Slowbro trying to swoop in. Nothing worked in their favor, and you can see Nova, being a ranged attacker, understanding that his teammates are not around him.
Exactly.
Everything just fell apart one after another, and it was just Marcos taking advantage of this game as much as they could. And now Marcos are on a streak to close on this league stage, being the table toppers. Thinking of True Rippers could be doing it, and now Marcos, after what has happened, after SATL opening that table up completely widely, I'm looking forward to what the last week has for us, brother.
Oh, indeed. And now that the week number 4 has ended, we saw a great comeback from Marcos Gaming.
Yeah.
What a way to end this week, right? We start off with a great performance of SATUL, and then you got Marcos Gaming coming up with some great performances.
Yeah, Marcos, after having that kind of a defeat in the second game, the most obvious one, everybody would have thought, what can happen? But now with this victory, they put themselves in the driver's seat of getting to a position where they might just be in the table topper spot. And finally, just because of their match, you can see all the teams have been split. First position Marcos, second position True Rippers, third position SATUL, Revenant on the fourth, and God's Reign in the fifth. God's Reign have one match left against Revenant, we'll be seeing. Revenant also have one match, that is against God's Reign. And then there is Marcos, who have one match left against SATUL. Is going to be super interesting. Now, if SATUL win, they will be clashing with Marcos Gaming with 9 points each. But if Marcos win, they'll be getting to double digits. Whereas on the other end, God's Reign, if they get a chance to win, still they'll be in the 5th position. The maximum they'll be able to score is 3 points. Whereas on the other end, Revenant, if they get 3 points, they'll be getting closer to the position of True Rippers. And here 7-7 again. So there can be an interesting standoff on the last day. That is going to be week number 5 of this India League stage 1. And I'm looking forward to if that happens. 7-7, 9-9. If there is a situation, I want to see who becomes the top seed and who gets being in the second, third, and fourth, so on.
Well, for me, it is going to be a battle between True Rippers and Marcos Gaming. Because again, SATUL, oh no, not True Rippers. It is going to be Marcos Gaming and SATUL. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Now everything depends on how SATUL is going to actually take it, because if it is going to be a victory for SATUL, it might be a chance that they also get the first seed. At last, everything depends on the next week, the last week of the stage number 1. Really excited for it.
Yeah. last week to decide the positions, decide chances of getting into the Malaysia land in the league stage. That is the first itself, before even starting the playoff stage, is something that one of these teams can decide. But which is that
Correct.
team is going to be a question that we have on our minds. And also after seeing the performance of how teams have been improving over the weeks, right? When we started initially, Marcos lost their first game, but they immediately came back against True Rippers itself. But after they've just kept up the victory streak. Now talking about Revenant, they've had a couple of fair shares of losses, but whenever they've also played, they've looked phenomenal. True Rippers, when they started itself, the day one of Asia Champions League for the India region, it looked like they were the team that everybody needs to fear. But Marcos said, we are here, you cannot give up that chance. And then we saw SATUL today. They're like, it's not only Marcos, True Rippers, we are also in the game. We are going to make sure that we also deny True Rippers, and they have also denied True Rippers of getting any points. If True Rippers won, there could have been a scenario that True Rippers would be leading the charts with 10 points, and maybe Marcos would have a tough run to push it to that double digits. But right now, it's an interesting spot. What do you think, Mridul? What is up for the last week after seeing this week's match?
Well, again, for me, for last week, I'm all excited about getting who is going to get the first seed, and just getting their tickets booked for Malaysia land, because I am damn sure who is going to get this one. I am going to be really excited for them, and truly surprised from Marcos Gaming and Team True Rippers. The amount of consideration, the amount of hard work they have put upon in their game. Surrender to them.
Yeah, bow down to them. They've put down the grind, which has worked out really, really well for them. But for me, if you ask, it's the league table brain teaser that I want to see on week 5. 7-7, 9-9. And I know I don't mean anything in terms of God's Rain not getting any points. It's that we are at a situation where you kind of wonder what's going to happen next. Now again, there will be, I would say, criterias depending on who has won flawless matches better, who has had better, I would say, average score. So these things will determine their positions. But right now, we'll get for a small interview with the victors and the comeback kings, Marcos Gaming, welcoming Walk and congratulating the entire team. Walk, this has been a usual. I think we have to keep you always here. Welcome back. Another week, another victory. How is it feeling?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Doing really well. Thank you for asking. Before I would say Mridul asking a question, I have one thing. Obvious one. I mean, what happened in the second game?
There was a little we had some plan, but it wasn't communicated too well in our own. We had internally an issue. Otherwise, it should have been smoother for us. That's the best way to put it.
But you're known as comeback, so you did come back really well again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mridul, you have a question?
Indeed. I got just one doubt in my mind. Now that your pathway is clear, you just have one game against SATUL, right? And it would be the game where you would be able to achieve the first seed. So, as you're all set for that, are you actually going to focus more on getting Urshifu back to back in your lineup, or once again you're going to stick to your same plays which are you're opting for?
I think my opponents are also going to be watching the stream, so
Yeah.
I'm not going to give out much information, but
Okay.
be excited. You guys will be surprised.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay. I mean, I was already surprised when I saw you in the
Left at the
previous
question
week
mark.
with Do Trio. We will be left. I mean, we have to be surprised as casters as well as the opponents. But one last question before letting you go and figuring out the next week's strategy. It's going to be an add-on. I want to know, are you guys looking forward to, as he said, being the first seed, or do you think there is going to be a little bit of a competition and might be a little bit of a trouble when we see the last match?
We do want to get first seed.
Yeah.
And Seoul, we have a history with Seoul, playing against them. So we have two objectives and one opportunity. So yeah, we're gonna give our best for that game.
Wishing you all the best. Looking forward to you guys getting the double digits, scoring 12 points and becoming the first seed, and also qualifying to the land directly therefore. And we'll be looking forward to you in the next match. Again, meeting you on the desk very soon. So all the best for another week. See you all.
Right,
Thank you so much.
Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining.
You saw, Sid, it happens, right? Sometimes opponents, they just start running upon towards you and you're unable to
Correct.
control it. So, and also your communication just falls a little bit short. But again, making that reset happen, and as you said, right, I cannot tell you a lot, but be ready to be surprised. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, left at a surprise for sure. Well, the updates are there on this very website, so make sure you tap on the link as soon as possible and you'll be able to get more updates. But Lucifer, to talk about these 4 weeks, it has been a great journey. And now moving forward to the last week, which is going to be there on 5th of February. I'm going to be really excited for that. Real pumped up. Who is going to be there at the first spot?
Yeah, right now how the entire India region Asia Champions League has kind of come to a story point is we can have a 7-7-9-9. I know I spoke about it already multiple times, but I'm interested to see what happens if it happens. But for now, week 4 has come to an end. We'll be looking forward to catching you on week 5, the final week of the league stage. Take care and have a great evening. See ya.